That's great.
Well, hello everyone. An hour later than promised. I
Time zones.
it's now it's me trying to do 20 things at once and not sleeping enough.
Which you're good at.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I guess time is catching up to me. But we are so excited. George got a surprise.
I just before you guys, I just found out who our guest is, and
And
I'm so verklempt and thrilled and excited.
and this is a really beautiful performer that we got to know 10 years ago this summer.
Yeah.
And this wonderful person really enriched our lives in ways that we cannot say in words. And she continues to enrich the lives of many, many up in New York through her singing. So please welcome our beautiful and wonderful friend, Rachel Brook. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Hi, George.
Hi, Rachel. Oh my gosh, I'm just so thrilled to see you. And you look just the same. 10 years has done nothing. Except made you look younger.
10 years, a husband, and two kids.
Two kids later.
You can see all the gray hair that's actually right under here.
That people are showing proudly these days.
Yeah, totally. Right. I'm owning it. I don't have the time or the patience to dye my hair, so whatever's there is what's happening.
That's wonderful.
Look exactly the same, if not hipper.
No, we have a camera that kind of makes that happen.
Yeah, it's all image.
It's just a filter.
Yep.
But we're so thrilled to reconnect with you. We have such wonderful memories of your beautiful self, not just your voice, but your soul. You really are a wonderful woman, and you were a local girl, right?
Yeah.
Across the river.
Across the
river. Local for the folks that
local.
Are
well,
the country.
So George and I are in Tacoma Park, Maryland, and then there's this little river called the Potomac that separates Maryland, D.C. from Virginia, and you were across the river in Virginia, right?
Exactly. Well, I'm from Virginia. When I met you guys, I was living in D.C., but I was born and raised in Virginia, and it was. I'll never forget meeting you and the experience that we had in the Poet Warriors, which I know we'll probably talk about, but it was one of my last DC experiences. Right after the show, I moved up to New York and have lived there ever since. So it was like just the sweetest, most beautiful goodbye to the city that I grew up in and around.
And Rachel, I have to tell a story about you and my mother. So when my mother knew I was writing this play, it was kind of inspired by my mother and father. She said, well, I'll get a lawyer and sue you for defamation of character if you do anything. And I said, Mom, the woman that's playing the woman inspired by you is stunningly beautiful, has the most stunning voice. And she said, oh, well then. And then she saw the show like 4 or 5. She saw all the shows.
Oh my God!
And brought all of her friends to see it. And she kept telling people, that woman right there, that's me. That's me.
That's the nicest compliment I think I've ever gotten. Mom approved is what it's about.
She did.
So it looks like you had an interesting journey, right? Because you went from secular music to non-secular music, right? You left DC to go and study very specific kind of music.
Yeah. So when I met you guys, I was living in DC and I was working in Rockville, Maryland as a cantorial soloist, working in a synagogue as a cantor. For those who don't know, is basically like a rabbi, which people tend to be more familiar with, but in charge of all the music. And in Jewish services, music is really, really central to the experience. So it's a big job. And it takes a lot of schooling and ordination, which I didn't have at that time. I was just sort of doing that work as an assistant. And I loved it. It just spoke to me. I studied classical voice. My background is as a performer. And I've always loved it. But there was something about being in that kind of setting that just felt so deeply connected to me. And the truth is I moved to New York for a guy who's my husband now. But it worked out because the seminaries are all in New York that I was thinking about attending. So when I moved up to New York, at the end of my first year, I enrolled, and it was 5 years. And
wow.
At the end of 5 years, I became a cantor officially, and I've been working as a cantor in New York ever since. And it's just, to me, it's so fulfilling because I knew no matter what, I didn't want to give up singing, and I didn't want to give up singing at a high level because I value and I love performing and I love all kinds of music, classical music and jazz and pop. I love everything. And, but at the same time, I just feel so deeply connected to my tradition and my roots and my heritage and the music that comes from that part of me and my culture. And just, it's a blessing to be able to do that. And the thing I like the most, more than any kind of music, is relationships. And this job and this career path just offers me the chance to be connected with people all the time. And that's what really ends up fulfilling me. The music is honestly second to that.
That's wonderful. And so, when did you discover that music was going to be so important in your life?
So there's two aspects of it. One is that my mom was a singer, like a amateur but very committed folk singer, and she wrote a lot of children's music. And I grew up singing with her all the time. And that side of my family is very musical in a very amateur way, like guitar, fireside kind of singing. But I was very shy, actually, when it came to singing. I did not like to sing in front of people. I never wanted to perform. I felt embarrassed that people would look at me. And when I was in high school, I sang in choir. And one day after a choir rehearsal, and I loved singing in choir, I loved harmonizing. I like, again, the communal aspect of it, the collaborative aspect of it. And at the end of a choir rehearsal, I was on the stage with a friend. Everyone else had left, and we were just fooling around. And I think I was just singing out, like, whoa! And my teacher happened to be in the wings, and she said, you've actually got a voice. You should take voice lessons. And so I did, and I took that very seriously. And within my first lesson, I knew that this was something that was going to be a very deep connection for me. And I pretty much decided then and there, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a professional singer. That's what I'm going to do. And I did it, not in the form that I thought I would when I was 15, but that's been my life ever since, in one form or another.
That's wonderful. And what about the kids? Are they into music as the two? Because you and your husband are both professional musicians.
So my husband is a jazz musician by trade, trumpet player and a composer. So, it remains to be seen. Our daughter, today I was trying to practice piano with her, and she said, I hate piano. She likes music. I think like kids like music, and she does have a good ear. Our son, I think, actually is like, he's got the perfect pitch. He sings, he's 2 years old, and he can sing anything back to you right in the pitch that it was in, with the words, with the rhythm. So we'll see, but he definitely seems like he has the inkling towards it.
And no matter what, they'll head towards their inclinations and their great passions and skill.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's wonderful. So what is I know that New York has been hit really, really hard with the pandemic, and more than any of the other metropolitan cities, and things have been really, really difficult. But I know that for families with young kids is even more difficult because they don't understand the challenges of that.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing with that? How are you managing?
It's horrible what's happening in New York right now.
yeah.
It's hard on everybody. We left the city 5 weeks ago and came to Massachusetts and have been here, and it has completely saved us because of our children. I think having the space, having the outdoor space, because it's just awful, like not having anywhere to go. Once you have little kids and you can't go to the playground and they can't go to school, and your caregivers cannot help in any way, it's just survival mode. Like, it's survival mode. And I would say we're in survival mode, but with a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we're making it work just like everybody else is, and everyone's situation has its own challenges. Having young kids and 2 working parents is definitely its own kind of challenge. But I do feel very, very grateful that we are where we are. And
I saw a great quote, Rachel, earlier today from a French philosopher with a disability, and he said the heroism of everyday life.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's right. Well, speaking of beautiful, would you like to share some of your beautiful music with us?
Sure. So when you asked me if I might sing something, I have I like all the genres. I have some experience in all the genres, but the first thing I thought of was Dolly Parton. I feel like you guys would appreciate it.
That great cantor.
Yeah, exactly. The great cantor Dolly Parton. The great Dolly Parton. That she speaks to me on a lot of levels, and her song in particular, Wildflowers, has just really resonated with me. So you can listen to the lyrics and see, but it's essentially about her as a wildflower. It's about how wildflowers don't care where they grow. They can grow in any space, and that in fact being tucked into a garden bed was too constricting and too monotone, and that the wildflower had to get out and grow free so that it could bloom in any field. And it's really spoken to me in this kind of time of COVID as well, of just feeling like, you know what, somewhere out there for all of us, the wildflowers are waiting. And right now we're in the garden beds, but eventually the wind will change, and the inner wildflower in all of us will bloom again.
I love that.
So I'll share it with you. This is my ukulele.
Beautiful.
The hills were alive with wildflowers, and I was as wild, even wilder than they. For at least I could run. They just died in the sun, and I refused to just wither in place. Just a wild mountain rose, seeking freedom to grow. No respect, fearing not where I'd go. When a flower grows wild, it can always survive. Wildflowers don't care where they grow. And the flowers I knew in the fields where I grew were content to be lost in the crowd. They were coming in close. I had no room for growth, and I wanted so much to branch out. I uprooted myself from my home ground and left. Took my dreams and I took to the road. When a flower grows wild, it can always survive. Wildflowers don't care where they grow. I grew up fast and wild, and I never felt right in a garden so different from me. I just never belonged. I just longed to be gone. So the garden one day set me free. I hitched a ride with the wind, and since she was my friend, I just let her decide where we go. When a flower grows wild, it can always survive. Wildflowers don't care where they grow. Just a wild mountain rose needing freedom to grow. So I rooted myself and took to the road. When a flower grows wild, it can always survive. Wildflowers don't care where they grow. Wildflowers don't care where they grow. Wildflowers don't care where they grow.
Oh,
my
wow.
gosh. We don't care where we grow, do we?
Isn't that a great song?
That's a beautiful song. The perfect
Love
song.
it. I just love it.
Oh my gosh.
That is wonderful.
We just saw that Patty Woolsey's on.
Oh my gosh.
Patty, who was our director and our guide for Poet Warriors and helped it come alive.
Oh my gosh, so much love. Hi, Patty. I miss you. I miss you all. That was so much fun. That was such a
and I have to share, we saw Patty's production of Sweeney Todd, and we knew that she was the director.
And in fact, Patty says I stalked her because I saw her production of Sweeney Todd, and I said, would you direct my shows? Who are you? And then we became great friends. And because of that, things evolved and our paths came to you and so many other wonderful people.
Oh,
That's wonderful.
You guys are such connectors and you're such magnets. The love and the kindness and the generosity that you exude is just totally magnetic.
Well, you're very kind, but it's all because of the people that surround us,
Yeah.
like yourself. And so that was great. That was a great song. And so how do we move forward? How do we use music to help us heal and to connect and to create community like you're doing with your cantoring in New York?
You know, I mean, that's essentially what music is. It's built in. And especially in the period of time that we're in now, one of the gifts, actually as hard as the isolation is, but one of the gifts that we have is this technology. Like some of the things that people are putting out, and yes, that the output is more, so you have to sift through a little bit, but some of the things that people are putting out and the ways that people are accessing their creativity in order to make music together, because one of the things that is really, really hard, if not impossible to do, I haven't found the technology for it yet, is to create music in real time together. So that's incredibly painful when one of the greatest pleasures in life is being able to make music with people that you love and are inspired by in person, in real life, in real time. And yet at the same time, you can't stop the creative spirit. It just finds other avenues, it finds other outlets, and the desire to connect with each other, it goes beyond any of this. And that's what music is. It's a language of connection, and it will rise above. It will rise above all of this.
And it shall, and then we'll have all these wildflowers sprouting everywhere with everyone.
And we can't wait to see you again.
Yeah.
Sometime and in person and to meet that family of yours that you've created since we last saw you.
Be taken with you guys.
Oh my gosh, yes, we'll babysit anytime.
Well, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's right.
So he might have a little performer in him.
He really is. He really is. We're going to see great things from him in the future.
Yes, you will.
One way or another.
From both kids.
That's right. But we are so thankful that you had the opportunity and the time and the willingness to be with us for a few minutes today. And so we can share it with all the people that we know. We have missed you so much.
I've missed you.
And it is so lovely to see you.
So wonderful to see you. Thank you for reaching out and for connecting. And again, one of the blessings to come out of something totally unexpected is being able to reconnect with really special people like you. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking the time, and happy surprise, baby. Love you. Hang on for a second, and bye everyone. We'll see you next time when we connect again.